We've got a new video talking about how the Switch 2 will be less powerful than the already existing Steam Deck. And I gotta tell you, it's very interesting to consider whether this is going to be a problem, a bad thing, or if everything is okay. Plus, we may have finally found out where Hollow Knight Silksong will show up once again. So good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. It's a fantastic day to be a Nintendo fan. Might not sound like that from my intro, but it is. We're getting Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door in a month. 1 month from today, it's coming out, which feels just so fine. Let me know in the comments down below if you're picking up that game and if you are interested, or what your thoughts are on what we're about to talk about in today's topics. We'll get to the Switch 2 Steam Deck debacle in a moment, but first, Microsoft announced a new Xbox Indies showcase for next Monday, April 29th. Now, this is very interesting because we had the indie world, no Hollow Knight there. No Hornets to speak of. I don't even think there was a single bug in the entire indie world. But we do know that Hollow Knight Silksong last popped up with Xbox at their Summer Games Showcase a few years back, and we do know that Hollow Knight Silksong has recently seen a lot of ratings in the ESRB, the Korean ratings boards, and I believe Australia as well. Could this be where Hollow Knight finally shows up? Many will say no, Microsoft or Nintendo will wait till a bigger event, like a true E3 caliber type event, or the next Direct, or Summer Games Fest, but with all the recent action and movement, maybe this is where it pops up. We assume that Team Cherry started off working with Nintendo as the primary console game platform for Hollow Knight Silksong, but it seems like maybe they did shift to Xbox, and I wonder if this is where it will pop up. Launching sometime this summer feels like a good time. Announcing that release date at the end of April seems to make a lot of sense, especially with the ratings boards, ratings popping up recently, but as always with these things, Hollow Knight Silksong is a mysterious beast. It is an elusive bug. It cannot be caught in any sort of jar, net, or wagon, so we'll just have to wait and see. But I will definitely be keeping my eyes peeled Monday, and some of those indie games could actually end up on Switch. Like, if Hollow Knight's there at the Xbox thing, well, it's also on the Switch side, so it's a good show to pay attention to if you're interested in eShop games, and that, again, is happening next Monday morning. And now for my favorite semi-regular segment, how did Nintendo botch the new version firmware update this time? Nintendo has not put anything substantial in their firmware in quite a while. They usually add a word to the banned words list, or fix some small bug, or make the big cheese improvement general improvements. This time it's version 18.0.1, and it fixed an issue where some wireless access points cannot be found when setting up a new wireless network. Okay, I mean, sure. There's somebody out there that this will help. There's somebody out there that this will be beneficial to, but by golly, I don't think Nintendo has made a substantial improvement to the Switch firmware in like 2 years. So thankfully, we're nearing the end of these firmwares, at least notable firmwares, and then we'll get to start over with Switch 2 firmware 1.0, Switch 2 firmware 2.0, and those hopefully will be amazing once again, and covering them will not feel like we're, reading the freaking Declaration of Independence. Instead, it'll feel like something exciting for our system. Now the version 18.0.1 is available, and yeah, it's there. That's all we can say about it. But we can say something about the Switch 2 versus the Steam Deck. Now, the Switch 2 is this mysterious magical machine that I can't freaking wait for, but we do have a decent idea of what it's going to be like. That's based on leaks, that's based on what we know from NVIDIA, it's based on job listings, it's based on putting together all the information we do have. And we do have this back and forth battle of, like, will it be better than what we currently have in the handheld space? Will it be better than the Switch 1? Abso-freaking-lutely, no question about that. No new system is worse than the last system, but will it be better than the Steam Deck? This is a much more difficult conversation because the Steam Deck is more powerful than the Switch, yet it's not as powerful as like an Xbox Series S. And some have said, like, ooh, maybe the Switch 2 can be like an Xbox Series S on wheels, but that's kind of unrealistic. And Digital Foundry posted a new video where they were discussing this topic, stating that, hey, a handheld Series S is really far off. We're talking years and years away. That's not something that's currently doable. And the Switch 2 probably won't be as powerful as the Steam Deck, which instantly made, like, sirens go off in my mind. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Nintendo is going to undercut us once again. They're going to go lower than the Steam Deck, a system I've been playing for years, right? Like, I love my Steam Deck, but I prefer my Switch. I love the Steam Deck because I can play all these different Steam games and it's easier to get a bigger catalog and games from the past, games from the future. But I like the Switch. I like the bespoke software, the first-party games, the notable characters, and I just like the form factor of being able to switch it in and out, the battery life, etc. So knowing that the Switch 2 will most likely, most assuredly even, be less powerful than the Steam Deck is a bummer. Until you watch the rest of this Digital Foundry video and you find out some of the sense that's made with what we know about the Switch 2. NVIDIA's chipset is going to allow the Switch 2 to have that DLSS algorithmic technology that allows a lower resolution to run and look real nice. It's going to upscale it, and it's going to be handcrafted for the Switch 2, and the games that are made for the Switch 2 will be handcrafted to this architecture. Therefore, Digital Foundry believes, and I fully agree, that Switch 2 will get more out of its system, its games will get more out of the hardware there than the Steam Deck can. Therefore, even though the Switch 2 will most likely be less powerful than a Steam Deck, the games should look and run and play better, which is all we want. That's all we can ask for. This is the difference between a system that kind of just has to run everything, right? Like verified for the Steam Deck, I don't know, we hope it works. Nothing is made specific for the Steam Deck, although nowadays they can kind of tailor it a little bit more. But when they're making Switch 2 games, they are going to be making it really just for Switch 2. This is why titles like The Witcher 3 can run as well as they can on Nintendo Switch, because hey, they can make it just for the Switch and take advantage of power that a just random port can't really take advantage of. And if you think about it the kind of the same way for Switch 2 versus Steam Deck, ports are popping up on Steam Deck as they make it work for that handheld technology, versus Switch 2 will be like, okay, we got to develop this just for the Switch 2. And the fact that we do believe it will have a really nice GPU and CPU, even though it's not going to push it to like PlayStation 5 levels, and even though the power of this thing isn't going to be that grand, it's going to be able to achieve results that are comparable to an Xbox Series S, even if it doesn't have that power. And it should be able to achieve results that are stronger than a Steam Deck, which to me is a big win. I think the Steam Deck is a fantastic platform. So knowing that Nintendo, with all their characters, their roster, and their IP, can come in and deliver something that is around the same cost and can deliver better performance given the technology and given the bespoke games made specifically just for the Switch 2, that to me is tantalizing. Digital Foundry does note that there will be some ports, of course, that are just thrown on the Switch 2 that don't run as well. And we know that from the Switch. Like there's some games that are optimized and take great advantage and look really, really nice. And there's some games that are just pooped out on the Switch and they run crappy, they look terrible, they don't perform all that well. If you make it for the Switch, it's going to be A-okay. If you make it for the Switch 2, it's going to be more than A-okay. And the DLSS is a big reason for that because it's going to take some of the load off of the hardware and allow things to look and perform better than they should given what we have on the inside, yet it'll still be just good and just fine and a significant step up from the Switch 2. So I'm not worried. Digital Foundry also notes that they can't see this thing being more than $400, and that's been the sweet spot we've talked about for a while. I think a $400 Switch 2, where you're getting access to all of Nintendo's library, you're getting access to, of course, all the indies because they love Nintendo, and now you're opening up to so many more third-party games, and games that can run better than they could run on the Steam Deck as long as the developers or the port studios take care to make it just for the Switch 2. We're in really good shape. We're looking at a system that can do a ton of what the Steam Deck can do, but also brings Nintendo's catalog, and that right there is phenomenal. Now, the new Steam Deck OLED does have a OLED screen, and it's rumored that the Switch 2 will not, so there are some things that are going to be better and worse about each system, but one thing that should be definitely better on the Switch 2 is the battery life. Based on what we know about the Steam Deck battery life, the Steam Deck OLED battery life, and the Switch OLED battery life, Nintendo's console should achieve a better battery life compared to games and their performance. Therefore, that makes the Switch 2 stand up even taller. I really think battery life is an important thing when you're looking at these handheld PCs because stuff like the ROG Ally, they just don't last very long. The Steam Deck is better about it, but a Switch 2 that can perform better than a Steam Deck, that can last and run longer than a Steam Deck, that can play many of the same games as a Steam Deck, even if the hardware is technically lower and like benchmark scores lower or whatever, the games will be purring on this system, and oh yeah, Mario plus Zelda. To me, that makes the Switch 2 a clear winner over the Steam Deck, even if it's less powerful. So anytime in the next year that we're discussing things about the Switch 2's power, keep this all in mind. Remember that even if it doesn't achieve Steam Deck or Xbox Series S or PS5 caliber, the games can still be better in terms of mechanics and gameplay, and B, they can still run really well thanks to DLSS and thanks to developers specifically fine-tuning things for this system. So frankly, based on everything we know, I would not worry about the Switch 2 power at all. I feel like the Switch 2 power is going to be plenty. It's not going to blow your socks off, but it's going to be plenty. And if you're familiar with something like a Steam Deck, you're going to get that or better. I'm really excited to hear and get confirmation from somebody like Digital Foundry, who are experts in this field, that, hey, they fully believe the Switch 2 is going to usurp the Steam Deck, even though it might not look like it on the surface. This is a huge win for Nintendo fans. This is a huge win for a future system that, gosh, I hope it gets announced soon. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Can you look beyond the numbers and be okay with a Switch 2 that performs better than the Steam Deck because of what it's running and because the developers will be making the games just for us on the Switch 2? Let me know your take in the comments down below, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, my friends, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Love you lots. SwitchForce out.